Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force. Welcome to Tuesday, and today we're going to be talking about why I do not think that Blade is going to be the next legendary event now, or legendary character. Now, what am I talking about? This is about the Night Stalkers team that we're going to be getting basically through the month of October. It's largely going to be the Halloween event, the Halloween patch. And if you saw my video from yesterday, then you would know that I had predicted that the zombie character that we're going to be getting for Undying, which is going to be towards Halloween, will be Zombie Scarlet Witch. Now, that's not really relevant to Blade as such, but it is for the timeline of releases that we have over the next 4 weeks or so. Yeah, sorry. It's over a month now. I'm getting ahead of myself in September. But, we have Orcus this month. We have Night Stalkers next month. And I feel that if Blade was actually going to be the legendary for that team, then we would have already heard from it. So I'm going to go through some of the data that we have and why I think that this is not going to happen and what I think that might happen to him instead. And who maybe that next legendary is if I don't think it's going to be Blade. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, yes, this was what I wanted to talk about this. This is the Age of X loading screen, or like when you click on Age of X, right, you get this. And when this first popped up, this was in March, about late March, I think it was, when this showed up, although it didn't have Odin at the time. It had this sort of what do you want, splash screen, I guess you could say, with Old Man Logan. Well, what we now know as Old Man Logan on the top, right? Like it still doesn't actually show him, but we saw this silhouette photo on the top around that time. Because if you go to the updates page and you go when they first announced, this is the introducing the Age of X blog. This is originally titled at March 27th, and that was the same time that they had this kind of loading screen around as well. Now that was about I think it was 2 months before the Old Man Logan event. Now we're at Tuesday, the 10th of September. And honestly, we're going to have Omega Sentinel probably towards the end of September, which means that our first Night Stalker character is going to be the beginning of October. And we're going to see one probably every 7 to 10 days after that, meaning that because there's 3 new characters, right? Just to recap, the characters that we have for the Night Stalkers team. We have a rework coming for Moon Knight. We have a rework coming for Agatha. That is confirmed. Well, technically, actually, it hasn't been officially confirmed. I think the Moon Knight one is confirmed. Technically, the Agatha rework is not confirmed. However, the JSON files did indicate through an oopsies in the recommended, I think it was the Jarvis file for raids, basically, that shows the recommended teams for Orcus raids, and it listed the 5 characters. Maybe you caught my video about that. It had the 5 characters, which is Agatha, Moon Knight, Man-Thing, Blade, and Oath, which I believe is the hero name that's being given to Karen, Vampire Karen. That's going to be happening for that team. So we have those 3 new characters, right? We have Oath, we have Man-Thing, and then we have Blade. Now, what the release order is, I don't know. I'm just speculating that Blade's probably going to be the last character. We'll talk more about that though. And then we had Odin here, which we now know as Dark Dimension 8 on the right hand side. So the bottom, this should have basically been unveiled by now, because it's at most like 40 days away or so before Blade would come out. And I just think that it's honestly too late. I think they would have announced him as well if that was going to be the case in some sort of blog. Now, hey, maybe it's going to come out this week that they're going to say that, but I'm willing to give you a Boilon guarantee at this stage that Blade is not a legendary event. And I've been pretty right about a lot of things lately, and so I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that that's what's going to happen at this point in time. If you want to, you could believe me or not. It's entirely up to you. But that's basically where I'm at right now. And the Logans, you still have time. You might remember this blog. Now, this was May the 2nd. We had the background before this, but we didn't. I think this was the first official declaration of Old Man Logan. It had his kit in here as well. I don't know if it was teased or if it was kind of known before this date. I honestly was a bit of a blur. That was the time I was on holiday around then as well. so I don't remember if there was like in the public sphere. Oops, I hit my mic. I don't know if it was out there in the public, whether or not we knew about this too much before that date, though, and how it was going to run, of course. But if we look at my character spreadsheet, I reference this a lot because it has a lot of the data in terms of release dates and things like that. Now, Old Man Logan did come out on the trial on May 24th. So, okay, that was actually about 23 days. Did I say May? When was it? May the 3rd? When? I don't know when the blog was. Early May, right? So there's about 3 weeks and a bit here in terms of the difference between when that blog came out and the trial event. So technically, there might still be time, but I think the bigger point here is that because there's nothing on the front page, and I mean, like, I guess just because something happens once doesn't mean that it's always going to happen the same way. But I guess the point is I'm trying to tell you that like 90%, I don't think that this is going to happen. And so I guess that brings into some new questions though, in terms of like, well, what would be happening instead, right? I guess you're probably wondering, well, if Blade is not a legendary character, what would it be instead? And I honestly think that they may experiment with an Ares style release again. So right now, we're starting ahead on Battle Pass, RTA Pass number 4 for Ares, okay? And we're here on, this started on September the 9th, right? This is pass number 4. There has been 3 already at this stage. This one will be running until September the 23rd, which is when Battle Pass number 5 is going to start. And then another 2 weeks from that will be until October the 7th. And that's going to be the final pass, which means that this is going to end on October the 21st. Now, that timeline is very peculiar, right? Because that is going to be probably where the third character of the Night Stalkers would come out. Because I think that we're going to see the first, whatever the order is, I'm assuming the Blade is going to be last. And I think that they're going to have the first character basically end of September, early October. And then we have like another 10 days, which is going to be like, I don't know, like October 11th, 12th. And then when this comes around at the time that Ares finally finishes, then I think that they're going to add a new character into that. Why? Because it has actually provided additional value for people who have been looking to buy the Battle Pass. Now, I'm not going to speculate how much money that Scopely has been making off of this, but I do know, just from what I've been hearing from others now, I know that Ares is not a super great character, but by and large, it has led to an increase of amount of passes in the RTA version purchased. And I think that they want to do that. Now, I suppose you could say that they, because, I talked to a few people in my Discord, like maybe just maybe they could change it to a strike pass for Blade, but I don't know if they want to occupy the strike pass position. And the reason why I say that is because there are lots of other stuff. If you guys didn't notice, actually, the strike pass has had its stuff revamped. It's actually a lot better than it was this current Hank Pym pass. And there's already been data mines for a Gladiator strike pass as well. So I think they're going to carry on using the strike pass for shards from characters that have already been released. I just think that's what the plan is for the strike pass. They've really bumped up the amount of red gear and stuff in this. And so they're going to need to provide additional value. People are already buying the strike pass, right? Like they don't need to provide additional value here to buy it, especially now with the increased amount of red gear. And so where there has always been a little bit of a struggle in terms of spending money and purchases and things like that has been the RTA pass, because realistically, this honestly needs some red gear, needs more red gear actually, in fact, as well, because even with the Ares shards, I have not been like inclined to want to purchase this. Maybe it's because like I don't know, I'm not really big on the DPC characters that exist right now, and because of Ares' lackluster performance, it hasn't made me want to purchase him even more. So what am I expecting when it comes to Blade then? I'm expecting almost an identical style release. Maybe they might alter it a little bit and things like that. Maybe Blade will actually get a character offer where you can actually buy his shards right away if you want to. But I think that the primary release method very well could be in through the Battle Pass. Why? Because it makes sense in terms of the current timeline with how they're releasing characters. Let's not forget, right? Like we have Sentinel, right? We have the Orcus characters, and Nimrod actually starts on Thursday, that they're slow dripping. Remember, let's come back to the slow drip of character shards. And this meets that expectation. Why? Because it takes 3 passes to unlock a character at 100 shards free to play, which means that you won't unlock Blade for at least 5+ plus weeks using the battle pass system because you had to get through essentially almost three full passes, right? Like you had to get to the end of the third pass, or pretty close, I think, free to play to unlock Ares. At least that's when I unlocked it. So I unlocked it around the 6 week mark there, and I think that's exactly where they want you to be. Now, what does that mean for all this other stuff? I don't know if he's going to. I don't think Blade's going to be a dark promotion credit character then in this case, because I'd already spoken about Zombie Scarlet Witch, and I unless they switch them around and for some reason the zombie is not a dark promotion credit character and Blade is. That being said, Ares was not, right? Ares was not a DPC character. And so that's why I think that Blade is in fact actually a regular character, just he's going to have a special release method, or he's going to have something a little bit different in this sort of new era that we're doing with the slow drip and the character shards and all of that. So still expect it to be really garbage, right? That's what we're having right now with the Orcus characters. Just it's not going to be what we all thought as a Blade trial legendary. Even honestly, even I said that, early on. I thought that's what the case was, but I think it's just too late. I think that we would have known something or a little bit more, and honestly, from what I've been hearing in the background, is that it's not Blade. I guess to put it some other ways. So I think that unlike Ares though, where I don't think you could actually flat out buy shards for Ares, I think they're going to move. I don't know for sure about this one, but I think that they might move away from it, right? Because Blade's a raid character, and that's different from what Ares was. Ares is a war character, and a lot of people don't really care about war. Sorry, guys who care about war, but like I think a lot of people don't care about war. I think more people actually care about Alliance raids, and so I think having not being able to buy him up front, buy Blade up front is a problem, right? For a lot of alliances that may still need them. Now, if you're in the top 100 alliances, I heard that you're doing these Orcus raid mystics without Night Stalkers anyways. You have Mephisto, you can do that. But I think there's going to be a lot of other people who are still going to want to buy these because the Mystic section is pretty brutal, for just using Bifrost. And if you don't have Bifrost, because my alt account does not have Bifrost. I have Vol leveled, but I don't have anyone else leveled. So these Night Stalker, I think the Night Stalker characters are actually going to be more important to, especially mid-game rating, than Pegasus is to Orcus right now, where people are still struggling, but still getting through with Pegasus, even without Orcus. I think Night Stalker is going to be more important. So that's just kind of my thoughts. Again, I don't really know too much about, the order in which they'll be released or any details around Karen, Oath, or Man Thing or anything like that. I do know that these two are going to be the rework characters. We might get a Night Stalkers blog soon, maybe within a week, and maybe at that point they'll announce whether or not Blade's a legendary 100%. But based on what I've heard and also what I think based on the data, I just really don't think that Blade is going to be a legendary character event. I think that he is going to have a more special release method. He might not be a battle pass, but I think they'll do something special for him because he's Blade, right? And I think a lot of people expected something or expect something more for a character like Blade. And so they'll use that, right? They'll use that to their advantage to try to get people to spend money on Blade like they're doing right now with all the other characters. But I think Blade, it would have made sense for him to be a legendary, I think. But that doesn't seem to be the way that they're going in the direction that they're going. And so that leads me to the final bit is, well, then who is it, right? I don't know that answer, but I do know that he's probably going to be a Cosmic Crucible legendary. Because if he's not a raid legendary, we don't have any more raid teams that need replacing at this time, unless they do something super early with, I don't know, mutants or bio. It hasn't even been a year yet on Hivemind, and Extreme X-Men's not quite out a year yet either. But we did get Green Goblin Classic back in November. Like mid-November of 2023. And so I think at this point, once we're past the Halloween patch, we're into the next patch, which is like the pre-winter patch. So we're in the November patch era. And I think that's where we're going to see the legendary character. What team that is on, I don't know at this point in time. But since Old Man Logan was a war legendary, and it seems that we're not getting a raid legendary, then really it only leaves one thing left. Now, it does seem that we're meant to be getting Battle World in Q4 of 2024 of this year. So that could also be coming out around November. But I don't think that they're quite ready to release a Battle World team at this point in time. Maybe it's not a Crucible legendary, but there's just really not a lot of things left. I mean, they're not going to do an Arena legendary, I think, after just bringing out the Annihilators. So, I think the data points to Crucible, and we'll have to see about that because that brings up a whole nother bag of worms that we'll have to talk about at a later time, especially when it comes to Crucible seasons and the current slow drip of character shard release methods. I'm not going to talk about that much in this video, but at the current rate, we're looking at like 45 days for free to play character unlocks. It's just absolutely insane if you don't use your power cores for that. So I don't know how things are going to shape up in the near future, but that'll be saved for another video. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. What do you think about the Night Stalkers team? Are you looking forward to that more than you are Orcus from this patch right now? And all that and more in the future. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy. I'll see y'all later. Boilon signing out.